Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the only podcast produced by three winners of SEMA's Visitor of the Year Award. That's right. It is the Check Engine Podcast. Thanks for tuning in. We're streaming through anchor.fm/Check Engine Podcast or anywhere else that podcasts are streamed. Thanks for streaming us, all you other spots like Podbean and iTunes and Google Play and Breaker and all the other ones. My name's Nick. I've got the two usual partners in crime with me. Andrew's sitting to my left. Tristan's across the table. Fellas, what's going on?
Not a whole lot. I'm reviewing my notes for this episode. We're going to talk about some interesting stuff, I think.
We don't have a lot of notes. This one might be a short one.
It could be.
Which is fine, because they've all been long.
Because we've gone long a lot
Probably
lately.
Refreshing for the listener.
Yeah. So thanks for hanging in there through the marathons, folks. We're not pros. We don't do this for a living. We don't work for car companies, for race teams, media outlets, or technically our own media outlet, I guess.
Yeah.
But we do have a deep passion for all things automobile and motorsports. And we like to talk about it. And we don't just want to talk about it. We want to hear from you as well. So please, let us know what you like, what you disagree with. Reach out to us. Let us know what you think about the episodes. You can find us. We have our own website. It's checkenginepodcast.com. Through there, we have a direct email. It's inbox@checkenginepodcast.com. As everybody is nowadays, we are all over socials as well. You can find us on Facebook at Check Engine Podcast. Like us. If you don't like us, that's cool. You'll probably know someone who likes cars and might be interested, so give us a share, would you? You can tweet with us. We have a Twitter page at Check Engine Pod. If you don't want to tweet at us, you can just follow Andrew as he argues with automotive journalists. That's always fun. That's entertaining. And then we also have an Instagram page as well, also at Check Engine Pod. If you're feeling really generous, we're coming up on holiday season now. We're past Halloween. So we're starting to ramp up for Christmas.
First week of November. Break out the Christmas sweater.
Yes. If you're feeling really generous, you want to give a good...
What's wrong with you?
You want to give us a nice holiday present, you can go support us. On our page on Anchor, anchor.fm/Check Engine Podcast, there is a little button right there you can click that says support. We also have one at Patreon. It is patreon.com/Check Engine Podcast. Anything that goes in there will come back out the other side in better content, better recording equipment, making this a better experience for you, the listener. We're not pocketing any of this. It's all going right back into the show. So
That's right. Thanks to our current supporters and everyone
absolutely.
who's going to come and... Yeah, get in, guys. Come on, get in on this.
When this takes off, you can sit back and be like, yeah, I knew it when.
That's right. We're not going anywhere. So help us expand. Make the brand stronger.
Let's face it, you can't make us go away, so you might as well make us better.
That's right. You can't beat them, join them, right?
Exactly.
Like a festering wound.
Oh, that's gross. But yeah, so thank you in advance. And yes, as Andrew had mentioned, thank you to the supporters we have already. Forever in your debt for choosing to do that for us. Tonight we're going a little bit different. We haven't touched on motorsports in a while. But yeah, that's what we're talking about tonight, right, Andrew?
Yeah. We're going to wrap up the race season, I guess, or at least the stuff that we've talked about. We've talked IMSA, we've talked NASCAR with Josh Balicki, and we're generally vested in motorsports. It's getting to the end of their season, so we're going to do a little wrap up.
Racing Roundup. I think that's trademarked by somebody else now that I just said it, but that's essentially what this episode is going to be. But before we get into that, fitting now that we're in a racing episode, who's got a couple of pace laps for us?
Tristan, you got
I have kind of a weird, like, blanket neat car news.
Okay.
Nick, you may or may not have even noticed, being at the same place of employment, but it seems like in the past week or two, the automotive game in our parking lot has just been stepped up. Like, there are new cars coming in and out and like there've got to be like 6 WRXs now. When I bought mine, I knew there were at least 2 others, and I think 2 or 3 more have been added since like I got mine. Like, it's just everywhere you turn, it's like, oh great, here's the second Alpha, here's some guy's new Corvette, here's brand new GTI. You mentioned there's a Navy one.
There was a navy blue GTI with, and the GTIs have that red kind of trim like around the headlights and everything. I was going to, like the employee communications page, if someone like leaves their lights on,
Yeah,
and they send out the license plate.
Attention employees.
I was going to do that and say, would the owner of the car with this license plate contact Nick, and then when he does, be like, if you sell that car, you call me first. Because I want it. I love that blue GTI is gorgeous.
Yes. So it just seems like all around, like as I park my car, I get out, throw my bag over my shoulder, start walking into work, and it's like everywhere you go, left or right, it's like, oh wow, look, whatever. Look, one of these, one of those. Like, there's always something to be commented on.
Yeah.
Where it seemed like before it was kind of a wasteland of mid-sized sedans. Like,
I just remembered a very odd pace lap that we have to figure out together.
Okay.
All right. It was like this weird wasteland of mid-sized sedans, and I don't know if that means the company's doing well and people feel comfortable buying fancy cars or whatever it is, but like it just seems all of a sudden it's not like, hey, year-end bonuses and raises, everybody got a new car. It's like, end of October? Yeah, sure, buy a new car. Like there didn't seem to be any association, but it was just kind of a whole flock of neat cars every day as I walk in, and it's just like a weird thing.
I noticed, besides that blue GTI, the one that I double taked at a couple of times in the past couple of weeks is somebody's got. It's got to be some senior level, C-level exec has a black RS7.
Hey, yep.
That just looks evil as fuck. It looks awesome. I stop and take
RX-7.
RS7.
RS.
Oh, sorry, RS. I said RX.
No, RSSS. Sorry. That thing looks evil. But yeah, the parking lot at our company is getting much more attractive lately.
Yeah.
That's good.
Weird thing I noticed all of a sudden. So.
And you want to go next? You had something queued up, and I've got one last thing that's also odd. So go for it.
Just reminded me. Speaking of walking through parking lots, the other day I was walking through the parking lot at some grocery store. Who the hell knows? And I see a beige Honda Civic coupe. Not particularly notable, except for the fact that standing behind the car or walking behind the car, on the lower right-hand side of the rear bumper is a circular bumper sticker that says on it masturbating and an arrow pointing to the right. What the fuck?
Well, I see it
it's
as
like a dirty "I'm with stupid" shirt.
Yeah, or like that would be the only reason you'd be going so slow as to let them pass you.
Is that what we think? I have no idea.
It's definitely a swing at whoever is to their right. That's the only thing I can assume. And usually that means in a car. It means in this country it means slow people.
I suppose.
So,
what if you're on a country road and you pass a dude in a bicycle?
It's probably not true, however.
Well, I mean, they're all numb anyway.
They're all numb anyway. All right.
Wow.
I don't know.
That's a problem.
I was very stupefied, basically, by this. I was like,
sounds like it. You're having trouble finding your words right now.
Because that seems too obvious. I feel like there's got to be a second layer to this joke, right?
I'm not perceptive enough to find it.
And if someone's going to put a masturbating sticker on the back of their car, do they really have another layer?
I would hope, because jerk-off jokes are kind of funny, but they have to be coupled with something else. Now, that's not enough. It's not enough to get a laugh from today's comedy audience. It's not enough to jerk off.
You mean the jaded youths?
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I must be thinking too deep about it. It probably is the stupid passing thing. That's not funny though.
I honestly think that's what it is.
Nah,
it's a dirty mobile version of "I'm with stupid."
And I was too stupid to get it. I was too masturbating to get it.
That was funny.
All right. Well, whatever.
Yeah.
Like, you guys
That's
saw
an-
that a lot quicker than I thought because I had no answer. I had no answer for that.
That's what we're here for, man. We're a team. We're here to help.
All right.
I've got one odd piece, and this was shared a little while back on our Facebook page too. It's just a weird article that came up through Road and Track, I believe it was. So Lewis Hamilton, now a 5-time Formula One champion. We'll get to that later in the episode. Super famous race car driver, athlete, social influencer, now a
Etc.
fashion designer, etc.
Tons of stuff.
Tons of stuff. He's got a couple of bulldogs
Yes.
that he is very proud of. He posts about them all the time, talks about them all the time. Apparently, his dogs have really good jobs.
Jobs.
They're
They're gainfully employed. I mean, that's what you want in a dog.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm going to get a dog, I want a dog like this. That gets paid $700 a day to model.
Bullshit.
Gunnar, you're great, but you got to get a job.
$700 a day.
Bullshit.
Take out the weekends. That is north of $200K a year for that dog to model collars
Jesus.
or
Dog
leashes.
sunglasses?
Dog. What does a dog even model?
Here's one thing.
Doggles.
Here's one thing I would goggles.
Jesus Christ.
Dog goggles.
But here's the thing though. Lewis is missing the marker, you know. Dog modeling money. That's cute. The real money is like he needs to start breeding his bulldogs.
Yep.
That's where the dog money is.
Yep. Is it like horses?
Yes.
Bread-
It absolutely
Yeah.
is.
Bred from Lewis Hamilton's bulldog.
Exactly.
Yeah.
5-time world championship dog.
Dog.
5-time world champion owner.
That's a very different breeding service, I think.
Yikes. This dog can breed you other dogs that make you $700 a day.
It's not like Lewis needs the cash though.
No, still, that is really interesting. Good foresight for Lewis to be like, oh yeah, you can use my dog to model collars. Pony up.
Pony up.
Bring that cash.
He's business savvy.
He definitely is.
Or he and his people, his management team.
Yes.
With the way he maneuvers, you got to think that if he didn't know that already, he definitely learned it.
Nothing. No,
Know
I'm
what I
not
mean?
knocking Lewis at all. Lewis is a savvy SOB. I'm a fan of his personally. I just thought it was weird that his dog gets like that's more than all of us combined.
Yeah.
By a long shot.
A lot. Good for him. That's cool. I like that.
So go. I don't even know the dog's name. Go Lewis's dog. Good on you.
Dog.
Good on you, dog.
All dogs are buddy, right?
Yeah, exactly. Pupper.
Any other pace laps, or we want to bounce into our year-end wrap-up?
Yeah, I think we can go in.
Motorsport manhandling. I was trying to find something other than racing roundup. I don't know.
Ha-cha-cha.
So we're going to kind of break down key takeaways, just kind of happenings over the course of this racing season, and then also kind of look ahead, things to expect maybe for next year. Do you guys have a preference on where we start? I think we close with IMSA because we probably have the most to say about that.
Yeah, I think that would be
you're
our
right.
best discussion. So
I mean, we could probably get F1 out of the way reasonably quickly, simply because not a whole lot's gonna change for next year. I don't
There's
think.
not a, well, there, so we'll start with what happened in 2018. It actually looked for a little bit like Lewis Hamilton and Mercedes might break a sweat.
It did.
Ferrari,
yeah.
Ferrari came out of the gates swinging. For a good portion, maybe like the first third, maybe end of the first half of the season, it looked like the Ferrari was actually the better car.
It did.
For the first time in 5 years, it looked like Mercedes wasn't the best car on the grid. Then the summer break happened, and Lewis Hamilton decided to say, I'm Lewis Hamilton. I got this. And just rattled off 4 or 5 consecutive wins, built up a point lead that was pretty much insurmountable. He locks up the championship with 2 full races left to go.
yeah.
He can just take the rest of the year off. Does not matter. It's same old story. It's just Lewis. Guy is just a
Ever since he got to Mercedes.
Well, he was good. His first world championship was actually 10 years ago to the day that we're recording this.
When he was like, what, 12?
Yeah. He's 33.
Oh.
So when he was 23 in his second year in Formula One, he won his first championship. And that was with McLaren.
Yep.
Remember them? They used to have a race team that was good.
I remember that.
Before Fernando Alonso got there, poor fella.
Didn't they used to have, wasn't the livery silver and bright orange?
Silver and neon and black, yeah.
Yep.
Vodafone.
Yeah. Oh.
Well, first it was West.
That's right.
Cigarettes.
Yes.
Tobacco.
Of course.
Before that went away, and then they kept the same livery and just dropped Vodafone in there to keep the bright orange.
Really quite nice.
It was badass. So
I love it.
So he's 5 championships. Well, technically in 10 years since his first, but he's got 5 in 11 years of his career. It's almost a 50% hit rate in the top form of motorsports in the world.
And not just like total race wins, overall championships.
Well, the race wins are up there.
Oh yeah.
Right, I'm saying, but
He
like,
already passed Ayrton Senna for the most
right,
poles.
he did.
And that was a year or two ago already.
yeah.
If he stays motivated, which all accounts seem like there's no reason like he can't be.
Yeah.
He seems like he's still got the drive because I mean at 5
He's his second highest, 71
Poles?
victories.
Or
Victories.
victories.
Only behind Schumacher, who
That's
has
what
91.
That's what I'm getting at. At the way he's winning races, if Mercedes stays on form, you could be looking at him catching Michael in the next 4 years.
20.
So by
how many races in a season?
there's 20-ish races in a season, depending on what comes and goes.
Could be 3 or 4 years.
If Mercedes stays on form, he's won 6, 7 races this year or more, 7 or 8. So give him another 3 or 4 years, we could be talking about Schumacher's records going down. And he's at 36 or 37 years old, so he might have another couple years left at that point.
Oh my god.
Now, he is a historian of the sport, so he knows his position.
Definitely true.
Is it a motivating factor, though, is the question. Like,
come on.
you think it is? You
Even
think
if
he wants to go get it?
even if Lewis
Because his
doesn't
idol
say
was
it-
Senna.
That's true.
It wasn't Schumacher. He respected Schumacher, but he's always said his idol was Senna. His helmet is yellow with the green.
Yeah.
Yeah,
is
but I
modeled
think,
after Senna's helmet.
I think he's competitive enough that he wants to knock Schumacher off the spot.
He's competitive. He wants it. He might not ever say it, but yeah, he's got to be gunning for it. He's got to be. I'll bet you he's got that shit marked off on his wall, like a single banner, just ticking them off.
Ticking him off till he gets to 91.
Come on.
Some little like trophy cups that are all like crossed off.
Yeah, come on, you can see it.
So it was the Lewis and Sebastian Vettel show this year. Red Bull came on. I feel really bad for Daniel Ricciardo. He probably could have had 3 or 4 more. I think he had 2 wins. He won Monaco, which is the crown jewel. Could have had 3 or 4 more if it wasn't just for shit engine that Renault puts in the back of that thing. Like that car. He actually said after Mexico, after his 8th DNF, he's like, "There's no point in showing up for the last 2 races." He's like, "My car is cursed." That was his actual. He's like, "I want to go home. There's no point in showing up."
God, that's got to be so frustrating.
It's got to be so demoralizing, especially like it's not like Alonso also had a lot of DNFs, but his car sucks. Like he dropped out when he was running 12th and 13th. Oh.
Okay.
Ricardo and then to an extent Verstappen too, his teammate, they're dropping out of races, running second, running third,
yep.
challenging for the lead. It's just like
And then just poof, yeah.
just no power, just click off.
Yep.
Like what the just the worst.
You know, what disappointed me about the season, I really did think that Ferrari, with a pretty strong team between Kimi and Sebastian.
By the way, everybody's favorite Kimi Räikkönen did get his first win in 5 years.
Yes, he did.
won the
Yes,
US
he
Grand
absolutely
Prix.
did.
He's everyone's favorite. I think almost because he doesn't win.
No, because he doesn't care.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
He's really good and doesn't care.
Yep.
If he DNFs or if he finishes in first place, his reaction to interviews
Is
will be
exactly the
the
same.
same.
Yeah.
Although he did say in his not the podium interview, but like the full presser afterwards, it's fun to prove people wrong. So there was a little bit of competitive drive, but
Well,
Obviously,
you wouldn't be a race car driver if you weren't at all competitive.
But
Yeah.
I will say that with the changes made to F1 at the beginning of the year, regulation-wise and new ownership and all that stuff kind of revitalized the sport, put it back on my radar. And then with Ferrari coming out of the gate strong, I was really...
And the late push from Red Bull.
The late push from Red Bull,
here's
but by then
what
they
I'm
were too
about to
far
say.
out of it.
Here's what I'm about to say.
It was too little too late.
I guess.
I never even made it to that point because by the time just after the break, it suddenly seemed like every other year for the past 10.
Yep.
It just, there was like a, I don't even, it's so hard to explain. It was almost like before Lewis pulled away with the championship points lead, you already knew it was going to happen.
It was like that time. It was like those.
You were waiting, like, okay, when is Lewis gonna be Lewis?
It's like those. It's like in American football. It's like, when are the Patriots gonna start winning and go to the Super Bowl?
Yeah.
Like, you know what's gonna happen.
Exactly.
You know?
Week 4.
Yeah.
Week 4
Here
this
they go.
year. But it was one of those things where, you know, I'm not a big race watcher, but watching highlights from first race after the break was
Spa.
Yeah, watching Spa. There was something kind of like, oh, this seems like it's over. I don't, you know, and it's...
He could feel it in his bones.
I don't know. It's not like, you know, Lewis was winning by 90 seconds or something like that. It was just kind of like, oh, well, you know, I guess we're done.
Right.
That's it.
So, for next year, they are making the big regulation change is they are forcing teams to, I guess you can say, dumb down or simplify the front wings.
Yes.
Making them less complicated. The idea is we want to make these cars able to run closer to one another without, you know, being affected by dirty air. So just they're trying to improve the spectacle of it because let's face it, the best time to watch Formula One is Saturday qualifying when they push for
Right. Yeah.
because on race day they know they can't really get close enough to pass unless they're in the DRS zone and the wing opens up and they have less drag.
Actually, sorry, I finish your point, but I'll counter it. I think they may have actually made a bigger change for next year.
Right. Yeah, I think I know where you're going with this, but I'll let you get to it. Normally, the only passing opportunity is the DRS zones and the racetrack drag reduction system, for those who aren't familiar. So what teams do, they drive to a number, like we have to turn this lap time to preserve the tires for this long, which means we can undercut a guy by this many seconds, and it's all calculated by the engineers, and the drivers are really just watching their dash, hitting a number. A lot of the times, it's 75 to 80% of the car's actual capability.
And he's making it sound really joyless, and it is.
It's joyless.
Well, yeah, it's something that...
It's very robotic almost.
Oh, yeah.
It was something that actually we were talking about, kind of the e-sport being a joyless sport.
Because it's all the meta.
Yeah, you're playing to the meta, and you've got these very, very skilled people trying to match an engineered plan.
Right. I mean, obviously, some are slightly better and slightly worse, but
like
everyone in F1 is extremely good. Except for Pastor
that's how you
Maldonado.
get there.
Right, you know, except for Pastor, yeah.
R.I.P. There you go.
He's not dead, don't worry.
His career is, but...
We don't need that Patreon page as Andrew ruins his microphone by spitting
That was
all
really
over
close.
But, no, the joy in an F1 weekend, and I think for the drivers, too, if you really get down to them being candid and not towing the company line, is Saturday.
Yep.
One lap, who's the fastest, give it all you got. And hopefully this new wing change will make Sundays a little more interesting.
What I was going to say, I think the bigger change for next year is cutting down on the number of different tires. Aren't they going down to 3 different tires next year?
I actually haven't heard that.
That was something that I had heard. I mean,
If so, that'd be interesting because that almost gets confusing.
Yeah, that's hard to watch.
Soft, hyper soft,
Ultra
incredi
soft,
downy soft.
I was gonna say
Downy soft.
triple ply, mega roll. Like there are 6 or 7 different types of dry weather tire.
Yes.
And then there's also the wet weather stuff. So
Do they have intermediates?
they have like 6 dries, an intermediate, and a wet.
Here we go. Pirelli F1 boss Mario Sola has confirmed that Formula One will use just the hard, medium, soft compound names for tires in 2019.
Perfect. Great. That's still one too many. But
I want hard or soft.
yeah, what the hell? So maybe that'll... I don't know how that's going to help the racing. Because the way these guys manage their race, they're all one pit stop anyway. Like, it doesn't really affect the strategy. And for those who don't know, F1 cars start with a full race distance worth of fuel. It's illegal to actually fuel the car to pit stop. So the only reason they pit is for tires.
Right.
And they can do it. The engineers figure out. It doesn't matter what compounds they have allocated to them for the race weekend. They can figure out a way to. Oh, we can do it if we do this tire. We can do it on one pit stop. Why is that important? Because of 20 plus seconds going down pit lane and getting your tires changed. If you only have to do that once versus twice, that's a big time saver.
Especially in F1 where the margins are so small.
To clarify what's happening here, and I don't necessarily know how this is a change. They're only changing the naming of the tires. They're only making 3 available per race. They will name those 3 soft, medium, and hard.
But the number of compounds actually aren't changing.
Correct. Oh. But they're only making 3 available per race. Is that different?
I guess it would be like for example,
the name part is that there's always been 3 available per race.
You're probably not going to see the Downy soft tires in Bahrain where the track is 1,000 degrees.
Right, it would just turn into ooze.
Yeah, it's like so they're going to choose the 3 most
compatible,
appropriate tires for an environment, and
which is what they've been doing.
That's on me. I read that wrong. I thought they were going down to 3.
That would have been great because I think there's too many, and
there are.
It really doesn't matter.
I say, but now you don't even have to care.
You don't
yeah, exactly. yeah, I don't have to care.
It's just behind the scenes now.
It takes
whatever.
tires entirely off my radar.
Yeah, it does.
The one other thing I wanted to point out going for 2019, before we move on to something else, is the aforementioned Australian Daniel Ricciardo being so frustrated with, the Red Bull in the car and all that kind of stuff. Back in August, he made a somewhat shocker announcement that he's leaving Red Bull. Now, he was brought up as a Red Bull junior driver. He was in their system. He's been with Red Bull for as long as he's been a professional in every single category. Mm-hmm. He's breaking the chains, and he's going to run for the Renault factory team. Which was exactly.
It seems like embedding yourself more with the engines you don't like, but whatever.
Also, weren't they just trash this year?
Red Bull is switching to Honda engines next year.
So why not stay?
What's going on?
He's going to Renault.
Does he have a contract with Renault as well?
I don't think he did. He does now, starting in Jan 1. But
right.
I think here's where I think he's going. So Renault supplies engines like Mercedes does,
correct.
But Renault also has a factory team that he's running for like Mercedes does. Mm-hmm. Everyone was shocked when Lewis Hamilton left a customer McLaren team for the factory Mercedes team that wasn't running as well. Look what happened. Renault recently jumped back in as a factory. They used to be just an engine supplier.
Right.
They just jumped in 2 years ago as a full factory effort. And they're putting full factory resources. They're hiring like crazy. They're bringing engineers. I think he's playing the long game that Renault, as a factory effort, is going to start stepping their game up, and he's going to ride that wave.
Okay.
I think that's his play.
I look forward to it.
It would have to be. Yeah.
I think it would be
because I love Daniel Ricciardo.
Daniel Ricciardo's awesome.
He's personally my favorite driver.
I have no dog in this fight. I just know next fair driver is Nico Hulkenberg.
The Incredible Hulk, who will be Daniel Ricciardo's teammate at Renault next year.
Hey. Ricciardo and the Hulk.
Ricardo and the Hulk. So watch out for...
Sounds like a good buddy cop movie.
Ricardo and the Hulk.
I'd watch that.
So,
but the Hulk would be the dog.
So tune into F1 2019.
Yeah.
And you'll see it. So watch out. We'll see what the new wings have to do with the aero, and will it improve racing on Sundays? How will... Ricciardo do at Renault? Does anybody have anything for Lewis Hamilton?
Yeah. Also, isn't Kimi retiring?
No, Kimi's getting replaced.
He's getting replaced, just straight up.
So there's essentially...
that's right. Yeah, he's going back to...
There's a Sauber.
Yep.
Which is a Ferrari, I guess, B team, junior team, Alfa Romeo.
That's where
Sauber.
he started, yep.
And the young golden boy, 20-year-old Charles Leclerc...
That's right.
Is stepping up from Sauber to Ferrari. So it's essentially just a ride swap. Mm-hmm. But... So Kimi's still be on the grid to, yay, Kimi's still here.
I thought he did say that he was considering it being his last season, though.
He's been saying that for 10 years.
He can't quit you.
But now he is back on the team where he started.
Yeah,
I don't know.
2002 or 3? Yeah. Like, it's been a while. So, yeah, we'll see what Kimi does there, but I think it's all about what's Ricciardo going to do at Renault? Does anybody have anything for Hamilton, Vettel or otherwise? And how are these new front wings going to change the show on Sundays. I think those are the 3 things to watch for next
And
year.
we can stop worrying about tires.
And stop worrying about tires.
Yeah, apparently.
I guess.
I mean, some competitive race day spectacle would be a nice damn
A
change.
lovely change.
Yeah.
Which I think leads into the next series we can talk about, which has probably the most competitive Sundays that nobody knows about, relatively speaking. That's IndyCar. See, exactly. Nobody knows.
You're the expert here. Truly.
IndyCar came out this year with a brand new aero kit. They chose to make it a little more retro looking, like the heyday of the mid '90s.
Which I did enjoy.
The aero kit or the heyday of the mid '90s?
The aero kit.
Yeah.
Because I didn't watch IndyCar ever, including now.
IndyCar, I think, got it right in a lot of ways with this aero kit. The road course racing, which in a lot of ways was kind of like F1 with the old aero kit, was now wild. Like the tight confines of Mid Ohio had over 180 passes for position with no yellows, so it wasn't like they kept bunching the field up.
Wow, that's quite nice.
So I mean, it was a legit race from start to finish. Now, were they all passes for the lead? No,
Of course not.
they were.
All excitement either way,
Yeah,
though.
passes are passes.
They were all passes for position. Like, people were going at one another, not just riding around waiting for a pit stop for an undercut. The ovals, they still need to tweak a little bit, and they're making some changes to the front wings, like Formula One is, to try to improve the oval spectacle a bit. Indy got a bit trainish, with the exception of Alex Rossi putting on a magnificent show, going from 31st to 3rd or 32nd to 3rd.
Spectacle.
He was just tearing it up. Scott Dixon, you might have heard of him. We've talked about him a couple of times.
Friend of the podcast.
He should be.
That's right.
Talk about 5-time champions. He also picked up championship number 5 this year. Second on the all-time win list, much like Lewis. I don't know if he can. No, he's 3rd. He hasn't caught Mario yet. He's 3rd.
I thought he was reasonably close.
He's close. He can catch Mario
Next season,
it might be a stretch.
if he's lucky.
Relatively quick.
Yeah.
But isn't the number 1 there just like...
That's not going to happen.
it's never.
If Dixon was maybe 4 or 5 years younger, might be a... But yeah, it's not. He's not going to get AJ Foyt.
He's going to race until he's 80.
Yeah, he's
there
going
you
to
go.
try, though. But it was a championship that came down to the wire, as it always does. It comes down to the last race. The second to last race in Portland, like, they have those points as they run things.
Oh, yeah.
So, like, in that race, Dixon went... So I don't know if you guys saw this. The opening lap, there was a crash, like a 4 or 5 car crash, and Dixon was right in the middle of it.
I did see this.
Like, he slid, and like on the onboard camera, all you see is dust. Like, it's like he's driving through, what do they call that out west? A haboob, like the dust devil
Yes.
tornado things. Like, just dove straight into it. Car spinning in front of him, drives into this dust. The dust clears, and he has 0 damage to his car somehow. No one touched him. He drove out, changed his front wing, still came back to finish 5th.
Yep.
He went at the start of that race, he was like 18 points up, and then he was like 30 points down, and then he was like 12 points up, and then he was like 6 points down, and then he finished it like somehow extending his points lead to like 35 points. And it was like, what the hell? How does this happen? It was a crazy last few weeks of the season, and it gives me, and that was year 1 with this aero kit. Like, they can still dial it in.
So,
That's what excites me so much.
They're not making any aero changes for next year?
Not for road courses.
What are they doing on the oval? Or, well, I mean, after Wiccan's accident.
Yeah, Wiccan's accident is kind of a fluke thing, unfortunately. Like, that has nothing to do with
He got
aero.
launched, didn't he?
Yeah, he got launched over the top of him. That has nothing really to do with aero.
Right.
It wasn't like he just decided to suddenly become an airplane.
Right.
Yeah.
Which...
It wasn't like he just spun and lifted. Like, he actually
Yeah.
hit something else that launched him. So, unfortunate for him. And that was my next point I was going to make about this season, was the rookie class. Like, a wave of new talent coming in. Like, Dixon's won 5 championships. Will Power's been there a long time. Ryan Hunter-Reay's been there. Like, there's been kind of... They're not old people.
Well,
but
no,
like,
they've
the
been
veterans,
racing so long that I've heard of them.
the old guard, you can say, right? They've got some challengers now. Newgarden's already got one championship. Alexander Rossi has proved that he is going to be a badass for a long time. Wickens, until his accident, was a revelation. A guy who raced, he came up, did some junior open wheel stuff, but he was racing sports cars. Like, his first IndyCar start at St. Petersburg in March was his first race in an open cockpit car in like 8 years. And he qualified first and was leading until the second to last lap when he got taken out.
Sure.
Like, he almost won his first start.
Yeah.
And he proved it wasn't a fluke. He almost won his first oval. He finished second. His first oval he's ever raced in his life. And there is an art form to it, and we can get into that another time. It's not just turning left. There's a special discipline required.
It's special turning left.
But it wasn't just him. He led the group, right? But you had Mateus Laced, 19-year-old kid from Brazil, come out and qualify in the top 3 or 4 in his first race. And he's on a team that's kind of rebuilding and struggling, so he had flashes. You had Jordan King, who was a road course only guy who would come in and consistently qualify in the top 10. First time racing in the series. After he won the Indy Lights Championship, Patrizio Award, 19 years old, hops into an IndyCar for the first time in Sonoma, qualifies 5th, finishes 9th. And he's coming on full time next year. So next year you've got Award coming in full time at the ancient age of 20. You've got Scott Dixon's new teammate is Felix Rosenquist, who may not be known to too many people, but he's run FIA WEC Endurance. He's run Formula E for a few years, won races there. He's got over 50 wins in junior formula categories all over the world. He ran Indy Lights as a partial season. He ran like 8 races a couple years ago, won half of them. Like, the guy's a stud. He's going to be Dixon's teammate next year. So a good car, a Ganassi car.
Yeah.
Marcus Ericsson, who's been running Formula One for the last 5 years, just announced he's coming over.
Wow.
So as good as the rookie class was this year, next year might even be better. Plus, you've got Rossi, you've got Newgarden, you've got all these young. Graham Rahal's always going to be there. You've got these younger kids who are awesome. The field, the talent pool is so good. Oh, and they're racing at COTA next year for the first time. They're running the Formula One track in Austin.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, they just tested there, and rave reviews.
How much of the full track is the F1 track? All of it?
They're running the whole F1 track.
Okay.
All 7 miles, just like we saw with the WEC.
Yeah.
Is car count going to go up for next year?
Looking that way, slightly. A lot of it is there might be some last minute deals, or like a team runs full time, but they'll run multiple drivers depending on who can pay for what. Some of the smaller budget teams. Looking like a full car count of, I want to say, 24 to 25.
Sure.
On a weekly basis. Some teams expanding from 1 car to 2, teams wanting to go from 2 to 3. Even the teams that are running part-time, like Mike Shank ran 6 races this year. They're going to run 10 next year. So increased car count, improved aero, great rookie class, good young guns against guys like the Dixons and the Powers and the stalwarts of the series. It's going to be a phenomenal 2019 year in IndyCar.
So you're saying you got to watch Indy?
If you're going to watch one series next year, tune into Indy. And full-time on NBC next year.
Yes.
That's pretty cool.
Not ABC, who doesn't give a shit. So NBC, they get motorsports. They know how to cover it. They know how to promote it.
All true.
Looking up for IndyCar, like it has been for the past few years, but its trajectory is still up. Super excited.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I like that. I could watch that. It sounds interesting.
Tune in.
You made it sound very interesting.
Tune into an IndyCar race with me, Andrew. Or go to one with me. Go to Road America with me next year.
I'll think about it.
Yeah, let's do it. What's next? NASCAR?
Is there much?
Well, they're still racing.
Yeah, dude.
Well, I'm saying, but changes.
Their changes for next year are a little bit crazy.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, as we're recording this, they're on their 3rd to last race weekend. So after this, they got 2 more. They're in the midst of their playoffs.
Don't talk about playoffs.
Playoffs. NASCAR this year was all about 3 people, which I think it's kind of funny that a lot of people who watch NASCAR bash on Formula One and all these other series because like there's only there's just gonna be like 1 or 2 drivers that are gonna win every week. I like NASCAR because of the competition. Well, Kevin Harvick, Martin Truex Jr., and Kyle Busch combined to win like 18 of the 34 races so far. There's 40 cars that start each race, and 3 guys won half the races. Like it's really not any different. Like I can tune in at any point. It's like those 3 are in the top 5. Doesn't matter what track it is, and that's fine. They got it dialed in. Great teams, super talented drivers, cool. So I don't have a problem with that part of it. If you want to beat them, work on your shit.
Be better.
Yeah, sucks to suck.
Get good.
Get better.
As I was told once.
But I just find that kind of funny how people who shit on F1 because there's only a couple people who can win, and then turn around and watch NASCAR where only a couple people win.
Yeah.
But a lot of changes this year. They ran a road course oval combo.
The Roval
in Charlotte, which was a shit show.
God, it was so bad.
It was like mindless entertainment shit show bad.
It was bad. You know what's so
But you know what? It was a success commercially. It got eyeballs. They're all about doing it again, and they're talking about possibly doing that at other tracks now.
What was weird to me about that race is that, well, obviously following Josh on that same track the day before, they didn't wreck 80% of the cars. But they did in Monster.
Yeah, the big series.
It's really weird.
It's crazy. It was
actually, they announced the changes for next year after that race.
Yes, they did, and Andrew has them queued up.
I do. I'm trying to avoid just reading this whole ESPN article, but here's the big change here. So currently, Cup cars, like Josh talked about when he was on the show, target of about 750 horsepower. They're lowering that at 21 races next year to 550, which is just, I think, 25 more than the cars in Xfinity.
I think it's less.
Something like that?
I think it's less.
At all ovals larger than 1.2 miles, starting after Daytona 500. So
Daytona is going to be the basic restrictor plate package like they've had forever.
Right. So they're fundamentally axing all of the top end speed off of the cars for most of the races in the season.
Mm-hmm. And they're doing a lot with the aero as well.
They are changing a bunch of the aero, without getting into the boring details of this. They're changing the front splitter, they're changing the aero hole, and they're changing that's a real thing, and they're changing the rear spoiler, increasing. What?
More drag.
Yeah.
More downforce. Mm-hmm. Less top speed. They're slowing them up.
Safer.
Well, here's the thing. They're doing.
Sorry, the spoiler increase is hilarious. The spoiler will also increase for all races from 2.375 inches.
Because NASCAR, and you can't measure it in something logical like millimeters.
Just wait. 2.375 inches. This is not an exaggeration. To 8 inches.
What?
Holy God.
They're putting
the
my
size
notebook,
of this paper.
They're putting my notebook on the trunks.
My God.
I wonder if I can get one of those for my car.
I mean, it could.
Why don't they just put a Top Fuel dragster wing on the back?
That's what I'm saying. NASCAR Monster Energy, and I don't know, nothing in here about changes to Xfinity.
Yep, as far as I know, Xfinity and trucks are both status quo.
Yeah, but this could fundamentally. There's change isn't a strong enough word. This could completely unbalance how NASCAR's been running for how long?
Well, I mean, they the way they change rules, it really hasn't been that long. One thing I will give credit to for NASCAR officials, higher ups, they're always trying to figure out ways. They're always changing something.
They went manic this time.
Right. Just when people get comfortable with stuff, after a year or two, all right, we're going to switch it up on you.
Yeah.
I think it does help because there's the element of the unknown, like who's going to get it right first. So there's that, like you literally go that first race. So it's going to be Atlanta next February after Daytona. I think they go to Atlanta, where these rules are going to take effect. Everybody has a completely clean notebook. Like no one's going to have any freaking idea what's going to happen.
Everyone's going to try different stuff, which is going to be really interesting to see right at the beginning.
Right, and that's where the teammates come into effect. Like if you run a 3 or 4 car team, you can go out and practice and say, okay, you try this, you try this, you try C.
We'll figure out what happens.
You try D. Afterwards, we'll debrief and see which ones seem to work the best. We'll check the times, check the traces, and all that kind of stuff on the data. So
I'm still just horrified by that change in the rear wing.
That's huge.
That's so different.
Right, and one thing I don't know if you passed over it or you didn't mention it in there, but another in Daytona, in all the Daytona and Talladega, they run the restrictor plates on the cars to slow them down because they don't want cars going through the fence.
Right.
And what that does is it leads to that pack racing, that really tight, like you guys saw when we watched the Xfinity at Daytona, where they're just all on top of one another.
Yes.
So when one guy spins out,
Disaster.
90,000 of them wreck. There's only 40 cars, but 90,000 somehow crash.
Right.
After Daytona next year, so the second Daytona race and both Talladega races, they're taking the restrictor plates off.
Yes, that's in here too.
Which means, well, you would at first thought you think, oh man, they're going to go like 230 some miles an hour. They're going to just be freaking missiles. But they're changing the aero in a way that's going to keep them packed up and keep them slower.
The long ovals are the ones getting the horsepower reduction also, right?
Yeah.
So
So they're the
200 horsepower. I mean,
the why even bother building an engine to that other spec then? Like,
well, one of the other announcements was that they're hoping that they'll see engines last 13 races.
So it's they want it to be like a cost reduction.
Yep.
But we're still going to run green white checkers and let everybody
crash
wreck
everyone
and
at the
write
end of
off
every
cars.
race.
Well, a weird,
because that makes sense.
I just want to pull this up of the article here. A very weird.
I just want to the point I want to make here on the taking away the restrictor plates, but they increased the aero. Their quote was to keep the pack racing that everybody knows and loves. It's like there's not a lot of people who like that. Drivers hate it because they can't do anything. It's a 180 mile an hour traffic jam. You can't move, and if somebody wrecks, you're gonna be in it.
Oh yeah.
There's nowhere to go.
Nobody likes it.
Teams hate it because the team owner knows, even if they own 3 or 4 cars, I'm going to lose money this weekend because 2 or 3 of my 4 are going to crash. Like, we're going to write off a bunch of equipment here. Like, no one really likes it that much. It's kind of exciting at the end of races when they're all packed up. There might be a photo finish, but there's going to be carnage too. And
yeah,
I don't like for them to say that, like, everybody knows and loves it. Like, who are you talking to?
Here's who they're talking to. This is so interesting.
Fans from Alabama.
and we're at 48 minutes and we haven't hit IMSA yet.
All right.
So just as a heads up.
That happens. So there are quotes in here from someone named O'Donnell, but no first name is given.
Okay.
NASCAR O'Donnell said, quote, well, he's talking about the development of the rules package. A lot of it is going to be based on new technology in the car, and a lot of it is going to be based on efficiencies for owners, the OEMs putting in an engine from a horsepower level that can be more relevant in the future. And this is key to me. This blows my mind. And can attract new OEMs.
So they want to bring somebody besides Toyota, Chevy, and Ford.
Realistically, think about it this way. If I'm Hyundai, I'm launching a luxury brand that happens to have V8s.
Genesis.
I'm going to say, what if Genesis NASCAR in the next couple of years? Because 550 horsepower, well, numerically, is a lot different from 750 horsepower. And
You
I
don't
can see
say.
how new OEMs trying to break into a sport, trying to create an American cultural consciousness, which we've already talked about.
Mm-hmm.
It used to be people would scoff if you bought a Toyota. No one scoffs if you buy a Toyota in America now, ever, because they joined NASCAR. I'll make that claim. I think that's realistic.
I don't disagree.
Yeah, I'm just saying that could be a possibility. Or maybe it's not Hyundai. Maybe it's who
Would a German manufacturer come in?
I was going to
I mean,
say,
would you see like a VW, like a BMW or something come in?
I don't
Run
know.
the 5 Series?
oh God, can you imagine? Oh, that's bizarre. That's almost too bizarre to think about.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. Maybe
Unreal to me.
maybe they're trying to lure FCA back in and get a Challenger back.
FCA, I could see that.
Well, they ran it for a while and they took it out. The
well,
Charger.
Maybe a Charger.
Chargers.
Probably a Charger.
It'd be Charger.
Yeah, I mean, it's very interesting to me that someone from NASCAR would talk about attracting new OEMs. That's not something I ever think about them considering.
Right.
Just, they seemed like they were pretty content with just the 3.
Another not small, but just a side note, Ford is running now the Mustang body instead of the Fusion.
Correct.
Yes, because
So
they're not
muscle
making
cars
that anymore.
Yeah, they don't make the Fusion
Yeah,
anymore.
so Challenger or whatever. I'm very interested to see what this does to NASCAR racing because yes, drivers hate the pack, team owners hate the pack,
Fans in the stands tend to like it.
fans tend to like it. NASCAR at least seems to say that teams like it, and
I ask an owner who's got to
They
drop
don't.
$600,000 on a weekend to cover
Surprise.
damages. I don't think so.
There's just a little disconnect there. Obviously, NASCAR knows the real opinions of the teams. If they attract new OEMs, that could actually increase my interest in NASCAR because I don't have a dog in the fight, brand allegiance wise,
Right.
and new blood's always exciting.
Yes.
Yeah, that would be very interesting to see. I've never really known NASCAR to have more than, I think 4 was the
4
peak.
is probably the top.
Yeah. So one more would be 4. Maybe they get 5. I don't know. We'll see.
That could be so. Man.
That's going to be a couple years down the road, though. That's not going to...
Oh, for sure. If this rules package works, it's all dependent. But my point in bringing it up is that they're targeting it. Just imagine an Audi racing alongside. I mean, there's no way.
I won't.
I won't, and you can't make me.
You can't.
This is Tristan's answer to my Corvette fight.
What about
my
a
mid
What about a
Corvette?
Porsche?
No, can't happen.
If they wanted to market
The
the
Panamera.
Panamera, bro, that's exactly what I was gonna say.
You just,
No,
yeah,
they would never.
no.
a bunch of people
I-
in Germany just shivered and they didn't know why.
Hold on. Toyota brought the Supra. That's all I'm saying. Toyota brought the Supra. All bets are off now.
But they were already there.
Toyota's already in the sport. They just changed the
They
model.
chose
That's
to
true, but-
model their new sports car.
Yeah, you think they would have kept the Camry, but whatever. Doesn't matter.
Anyway.
Ugly car.
It's so ugly.
It's gonna be an ugly car.
It's going to be so ugly. So yeah, it's NASCAR, huge rule changes coming next year. Let's see what it does for the racing. Let's see if it draws any interest from OEMs.
I really want to get Josh on the show to talk about this and about IMSA as well.
Yeah,
So,
which leads us into IMSA.
yeah.
Let's wrap up with... Now, there are more than 4 racing series out there, folks. If we didn't touch on yours, that's fine. We do try to contain ourselves time-wise.
A little.
So there's, club racing, there's Pirelli World Challenge, there's ARCA, there's a whole bunch of other stuff, NHRA drag racing, there's a whole bunch of other stuff.
I'll be the one to say, this is the only racing we care about, and drag racing is not racing.
Collectively as a podcast, IMSA is our favorite.
Yes.
Yes.
This season was dominated by, although in the top class, in the top category, in the prototype class, Core Autosport with a completely privateer entry, less funded LMP2 spec car, put up a pretty good fight.
Yeah.
Season was dominated again by Cadillac, by
Yeah.
DPI.
Yep, DPI.
And I want to bring up this note about Action Express, who won the championship again this year, was that Wheelan car
Yes.
with Eric Kern and Felipe Nasser driving.
And they're coming back for next year.
Curran is actually stepping out to just endurance.
Oh, really?
And Pipo Durrani, who ran that Patron Nissan, who I talked to on the wall at Mid-Ohio,
Yeah.
is jumping into the Wheelan Cadillac
that's
next
pretty
year.
cool.
Look out.
That's pretty
That
cool.
dude was fast enough in the Nissan. That's scary for everybody else.
Yeah.
But this Action Express, they run the 5 car and the 31 Wheelan car. Since IMSA came to its current configuration in 2014, so 5 full seasons, they have the full season championship and the endurance championship for those 4 races. So essentially 2 championships
Just a year.
per year.
Yep.
So 10 championships in the last 5 years. Action Express has won 9 of them.
Yeah.
Nobody's talking about that. That team is the Patriots.
But here's the thing. That's so weird about it. I was just reading, I just saw it come up on maybe Facebook was IMSA.com. Action Express was not a lock to come back next year. They have now been confirmed.
Despite their success.
Yeah, but they
were.
What is it really? Unless a contract signed, obviously you can't announce it. I don't know if they weren't thinking about coming back, but it was news that they did re-sign to come back.
Right.
They were the Wheelan and the Mustang sampling car?
Mustang
Yes.
sampling
Yeah.
number
Correct.
5.
Yep.
Yeah, so 9 out of 10 championships since IMSA has been formed.
Damn, that's a record.
That's crazy. A 90% hit rate on championships.
Deeply impressive.
Crazy impressive.
Actually, there's an interesting point because we talk about winning consistently being boring with Lewis. I mean, it doesn't get any more consistent than that.
They did it, but it's not like they were winning every single week and dominating every single week.
Very true.
The competition was so much tighter. They did it by consistency. If they didn't win,
They were second or third, yeah.
They weren't getting a lot of DNFs, not a lot of stupid mistakes in the pits. A little bit of luck was, no mechanical failures.
They were playing they were kind of playing the racing equivalent of small ball baseball.
Right.
Base
Yeah.
hits.
Yeah. Yep.
Base hits, get on base, and see what happens. That was actually, there was an article, the team manager was talking about this, and he's like, the whole thing is keeping it simple and not trying to outdo it. He said, if we have a car that's good enough for 4th, I expect you to finish 4th. I don't expect you to finish 3rd or 2nd or 1st, or worse yet, wreck going for something.
Trying to outdo yourself.
Going for something you can't get. If you have 4th, let's take 4th
Take it
and
and
get
run.
out of here and go.
Yeah.
Go on to the next week. And that formula obviously works.
Yeah.
For next year, they are splitting the prototype category. So
Right. Yeah. This got very confusing for me because it was kind of this weird united class.
it was a united class. The DPI portion of it was manufacturer backed.
Yep.
The prototype or P2 portion was completely privateer. And they did the balance of performance down. They basically dumbed the DPIs down to match the pace of the P2
It
prototypes.
didn't really work.
Not for a while. They towards the end of this year they caught up. Like I said, the core team gave everybody a run for its money. But the push from the DPI team owners, which I agree with, is why have the manufacturers spending all this money to make a car that does this type of performance only to strangle them?
Just
Right.
let them race, please.
Why have us spend all the money to buy these professional top of the line drivers when we have to race with teams that oftentimes are pro-am?
Yep.
So essentially what they're doing is splitting them up into a full pro category with the DPIs. So top of the line drivers, full manufacturer support. Now, it's not going to be crazy difference in speed. They're thinking maybe, depending on the track, like 2 to 3 seconds per lap. It's not big,
Sure.
but
Well, in
letting
endurance
the
racing, that's plenty.
yeah, let the DPIs run their own race. And if you have a P2, a worldwide spec P2 prototype, pro-am category like it is all over the world, and run your own race. I like it. It doesn't seem like the car count is changing much.
Right.
I don't think we're going to suffer for that. In fact, I think
Actually, the JDC Miller guys are moving up.
Yep, I was gonna say, well, that's where I was going with that. I think you're gonna see interest from really good privateer, high class GT racing to potentially move into the LMP2 class cars.
It's a worldwide spec. Yeah.
That's
because
what's happening.
Because it's a worldwide spec, and they're gonna have a chance to be competitive. Because although they finally started catching up, it was like, well, I've got an LMP2 car, so I'm not gonna beat any of those DPIs. It wasn't worth it. But now with their own race, their own set of standings separate from the DPIs, and the international platform, I think you're gonna see people kind of gobble that up. But
And here's the trickle-down effect. So JDC Miller runs the famous Banana Boat and the
Yes.
equally as famous Red Dragon. So they're running Cadillac DPIs next year. Which means that they have 2 P2 Oricas to sell. And what I've heard is that there's interest not just from GT teams in the top IMSA class, but like the GS class, the GT4 cars from the Conti series are looking
Right.
because of the Pro-Am status. The Conti series is all Pro-Am.
Right.
So we've got a Pro-Am lineup. There's a car for sale. Here's an opportunity to step up. It's a used car, so we're not going to pay it like it is new. So I think you're going to see, it's going to be like people moving up the ladder.
Yeah, you get the top billing. You get to, you get
Absolutely.
that premier slots. Yep.
I think it's going to be fun.
for me, anything that in multi-class racing, anything that multis more classes, I'm
Multis more.
For racing.
I'm all about it because that causes the interesting things that happen in multi-class racing.
Yeah. The GT side of it, not a lot of change.
No, pretty similar.
GTLM, 2 Fords, 2 Corvettes, 2 Porsches, 2 BMWs, and the Ricci Ferrari when they can.
Say most of the time.
Sometimes.
GTD, you're going to see some new versions of cars.
Yes.
The Audi R8 Evo is coming out.
Looks great.
Looks awesome.
Finally.
The
Finally.
Acura NSX Evo
So
is coming out.
So I love the R8 as a street car. The race cars always look weird to me, and now it looks great. That looks great.
excellent.
Yeah. Yep.
The thing I want to touch on for GTD, and we posted we shared a post on our Facebook page, the all-woman lineup that's coming next year.
That's pretty cool.
Yes.
Catherine Legg is one of the full-time drivers. I forget her first name. It is something Heinricher is going to be the AM with Catherine. And then Simona Di Silvestro, who used to run IndyCar full-time, is going to be one of the endurance drivers.
Isn't she currently in Aussie?
Aussie Supercars is her full-time gig.
Yep.
But she's going to run the endurance races, and so is another former open-wheeler, Ana Beatriz from Brazil. So 4 women piloting this car over the course of 2019 in an Acura Evo. So really something cool to look forward to.
Catherine Legg was good.
She almost
in
won the
that car.
championship.
She was mega in that car.
IMSA is one of, I'm not saying the other series are closed to it, but there seems to be more opportunities, both in engineering, in mechanics, and in driving for women in IMSA. Christina Nielsen won 2 championships. She's still going to be back in a Porsche, and now you've got a full-time women's lineup with Catherine Legg, who almost won a championship this year. Like, super cool to see.
Yeah. It's really good.
And then we've got Conti Series, which is not going to be Conti Series anymore.
IMSA Michelin Pilot Sport.
You're not saying it right. Michelin.
Michelin.
I got
Michelin's.
the interior race line from Josh, who was tweeting about this 3 weeks ago. Well, obviously he raced in Conti, so he just sent a tweet out after the final race. Just finished watching the final ever at Continental Tire Sports Car Challenge race on IMSA TV. Thank you, all caps, Continental Tire, for all you've done for our sport. Although my time was short in the series, I enjoyed the racing and the atmosphere, and a couple pictures of him racing in the
No big deal.
series. Not that big a deal.
You know,
and
as
then he
you
did.
do.
I think he may have caused a slight panic amongst his followers. I certainly was like, "What?" He said the series is not shutting down. However, next year it will be called the IMSA Michelin Pilot Challenge. There will be no ST class. So the lower class is disappearing.
The ST class this year was a transitional year because they brought in TCR.
Yes.
The Conti Series, now the Michelin Cup, has always normally been a 2-class series.
Yes.
So the top class, which is the GT4 spec, worldwide spec, GS category stays the same. ST category goes away, and those teams either need to purchase a TCR or a GS or a GT4 car if they want to compete.
Is TCR worldwide spec?
Yes.
Yes. Yep.
That's what I thought.
The downside of that, no more minis.
No more minis.
Pour one out for the minis.
No more weird Nissan Altimas.
Right.
It takes
it's
little.
It's a blessing because the
no more Hyundai.
the non TCR RS3s or S3s are going because that was miserable.
Yeah, that was not great.
No.
But Mini did end on a high.
They did.
They
They
closed
went out
out
with
this
a
year
bang.
a manufacturer's championship, and it's they didn't win a lot.
let me tell you.
But there was 3 of them racing against one BMW
They
and
finished
one
a
Porsche.
lot.
They finished a lot, and it was essentially death by 1,000 minis.
Yep. Which
They just swarmed up on
and
them.
the fact that they finished a lot says something because they
Significant
don't
improvements.
always finish.
They don't always finish. So this year,
I'm gonna miss on most of these tracks, those cars had to be on 3 or fewer wheels through almost every corner.
Yes, and like
they were ping pong balls. It was great.
And you talk about
Fan favorite too.
Envelope of performance. Like they steamed the envelope, lifted the flap, and then they were out on the edge of the flap.
Yeah,
like
it
they were just like
funny.
wired the entire time.
I always
wanna-
imagine the ride. It must be shocking.
It was appalling. Yeah.
Shout out really to the drivers because
Yes.
just to be within shouting distance of their competition, they had to drive over the limit 150% of the time.
Always.
It was fantastic to watch those guys.
wish
So
I
we're
had-
gonna miss Minnie.
I wish I had more footage of them I had recorded so I can put
too.
together a tribute video.
montage.
No, it's all in my head.
Yeah. Slow motion, black and white skidding across Canadian Tire.
Where he
Coming down.
almost wrecked, saved it, and then wrecked anyway.
Yeah.
Coming down into turn 5 of Road America.
Up on 3 wheels.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It's the images will never die.
They will
We
not.
will miss you, Minnie. And really, though, to echo Josh's sentiment, Continental did a ton for that sport.
They did.
Yeah.
I mean, the activation they had every single weekend. Mm-hmm. You know, the big tents, the free swag, the
tire-
the public relations
Even though I shit all over them,
specialists.
they did it
In
big.
quotes, they did it big. You know,
The giant
they didn't.
tire arch that traps you in the parking lot.
Yeah.
they,
Got to that.
and it wasn't just the Continental Tire Series. The big IMSA series, the 2 of the 3 classes
Ran
ran
Continental
all
tires.
spec Continental Tire.
Yep.
So the entire sport raced on Contis for the better part of a decade. So yeah, thanks to Continental for doing. And apparently their leaving wasn't really their choice.
That was the rumor that I heard as well.
I'm gonna throw it out there. I'm gonna go beyond rumor. It's Scott Atherton's all buddy with Michelin, and that's what he wanted, and he finally got the contract end.
And I'm not shitting on Scott Atherton at all because he is a badass president of a series.
Yeah, he's
Hey,
done a
you work
lot
with
for the
what you got.
series.
If you
yeah.
know people, you know people.
Well,
That's
he
it.
was big with Michelin when he was running the ALMS back during
Right.
the split.
That's
So
what I'm saying. When it's business.
yep, it's
He's got
business.
people.
He's got people.
Just like Nick.
He knows a guy. So
I will say this. I mean, 2 years ago when we snuck in / went into that press conference about the announcement for the TCR class, it was billed as because it was international standard, because so many manufacturers already produced TCR chassis cars. It was billed as something that would be very attractive for new teams, and it just didn't work out like that last year.
it was essentially an Audi spec class, but there was
Yeah, it was all RS3 TCR cars and one GTI.
one
it was one GTI. Well, yeah, they're open to all those manufacturers. Who wants to bring a car in?
I know. I just wanted.
They run other. Alfa Romeo ran one in Pirelli World Challenge. So did Hyundai with the
Hyundai
N.
ran them. Oh God,
The TCR. Also, our pal Ryan Eversley won the championship in a TCR. Or I mean, in a
Type
In
R.
a- yeah.
Type R
Type R.
TCR. So
I need the Hyundais. I need them.
I would almost want to see the Type R's, the Civic R's.
That too. Bring them all. What the hell?
I want to see all of them.
Yeah, the more the merrier. And I think there's an opportunity for like the team who ran the mini program. They're looking for a manufacturer to align with. Who's to keep? Honda or Hyundai or someone from saying, "Hey, we'll give you some engineering support. We'll give you some of this."
You know what gets me about the TCR announcement now in hindsight, seeing how the class has spread itself out. Yes, it is technically possible for Hyundai to bring their TCR car into IMSA. They will never do that because they don't sell the i30 here.
Then why do they run them in Pirelli?
Because that's international. They sell the i30 in every other country. Here it's the Elantra GT. And, well, not to go on a Hyundai tangent here, but they are releasing the Veloster N, which is the American equivalent of the i30N, which races, but they don't have a TCR chassis for that. All they need to do is build the body, but you didn't hear that here.
Hint, hint.
I don't know. I just want more diversity. I want more excitement, and I want to be able to, have a rooting interest, selfishly.
In the TCR class.
I'd take Honda.
I'm well founded. I've got Audi and Volkswagen
Exactly.
to cheer for.
Yeah, he's in. And the racing there is always good. The GS category is bonkers.
I've always said that's my favorite race of the weekend.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, more to see there. We've got to determine. I don't know if we can do it on this episode. We're probably short on time, but we've got to determine where our traveling race is going to be next year. Maybe we should put up as a poll.
Maybe we should. We could go to we're kind of out of close by.
We either have to
Races.
go. We either have to go west.
We got to go west or way east or south.
I'd be interested in Lime Rock, as just I can't imagine what it's like seeing a race there. It's just a bull ring.
Yes.
Yeah.
I submitted before, and I'll put it on the record now. I would go back to Watkins Glen because the one day where we had good weather,
It was beautiful.
it was amazing. And the rest of the time was abject misery.
So bad.
But that might not be the track's fault.
I don't think it's the track's fault.
There's a lot of things there that were the track's fault.
Right.
True.
But
Well, we've done a whole episode on that.
the weather's not one of them. So yeah, we could Lime Rock, and they're both relatively somewhat equidistant from here. It's a
Not Lime Rock. Lime Rock's way past. We'd have to go past.
If we go past
Watkins.
Watkins Glen to get to Lime Rock, I
We'd
think.
probably almost have to fly to Lime Rock. That'd be one.
I don't think it's further than Canadian Tire.
Oh, you might be right on that.
I don't think that's
You may be
that
right.
much further.
Especially the route we took.
So Lime Rock is an option. Watkins is an option. If we go west, we'd have to fly.
We definitely
And it's
would.
either Laguna Seca or Long Beach.
Oh, Laguna Seca would be pretty sweet.
Laguna Seca, Long Beach, you get a double header because you also get IndyCar in the same weekend.
Yep.
But it's also Southern California.
Yeah, I was going to say that's where heat is the devil.
But they run it in
Like,
end of March, early April.
yeah.
That would probably be pretty nice.
Yeah.
Way nicer than here.
Yeah, no shit.
So those, we haven't been to Long Beach. We haven't been to Laguna Seca. We haven't been to Lime Rock. We haven't been to Daytona for the 24-hour, but that's coming up quick, and Andrew will not do a 24-hour race.
Monterey?
I mean,
That's Laguna Seca.
Good. I was double checking the name of the
there
track.
just wouldn't
on
be
that
a
one.
point for you taking me to a 24-hour race. I'm only going to watch 4 hours of race.
Right. So any of the endurance races, really. The long ones.
No.
Watkins was
we did
6 and you made it.
That was fine. But, yeah, I just
I think for me,
tire out.
I think for me, the breaking point is being at or near a track for more than one day. Like, I had no problem at Road Atlanta. I had no problem at Sebring because that was like go early in the morning and then by nighttime you're done.
Yeah.
Like, it's a long work day, you know?
Right.
I mean, that's not too bad. But having to figure out Daytona, like 24 hours, like, are we going to sleep like just in the seats? Are we going to leave overnight? Like, I don't know about that.
That's not the kind of trip for me.
All right, I'll do it on my own one year.
I think you may have. He might go with you.
I might. I'll have to
I
figure it out.
might, but it'd basically be a separate trip. Like, I would do so much of my own stuff. Because you'd be at the track all day. Hey, nothing wrong with that. You'd probably hang out with him. I would kill myself before sitting in the bleachers all day.
All right, so we'll say Lime Rock. We'll say Laguna.
Yeah, I think we got to consider Laguna.
We'll say
WeatherTech Laguna Seca. Never forget.
We'll say a return trip to Watkins Glen. And why don't we put this up on a poll after this episode's released, and we'll see what the people think.
Yeah, I'm interested to find out because
Watkins Glen Redemption.
And I think as a bonus, what we could pencil in, depending on funds for tickets, an easy shot, and I know, Nick, you've been there, would be a weekend to do Belle Isle.
Because that is also IMSA and IndyCar.
Yep, IMSA IndyCar doubleheader, and like within easy drive.
And I've never done a street course before.
Me neither.
I think that merits some decent
I forgot all about it. Shit, yeah. Let's
I think that would practically not even count as like a separate. We could do 3 if we
If it
wanted
wouldn't
to.
bore you to go back to Belle Isle.
I got lucky with really good weather. The
Generally don't expect that.
the sight as a street course, it's flat. The sight lines aren't great. I'll tell you that right now.
Yeah.
Right.
But excuse me, as far as a setting for a racetrack, when it's nice, that was, and it's weird because it's in Detroit, but it was the most beautiful setting for a race I have ever been to.
Okay, I mean that's a good.
In the middle of the river, you got Canada on one side, you got America on the other, you got this beautiful national park state park, whatever it is that you're in, with a golf course and the big
Aquarium thing? There's
aquarium
it's
thing.
Animals, I think.
That sounds pretty dope to me.
Yeah. And they've made a ton of renovations there. Like since this race weekend, there kind of funds the rehabilitation of the park. Mm-hmm. So you have massive boat slips there. These huge yachts coming in, and like it's pretty cool.
Come on, that sounds pretty sweet.
It'd be good to see.
Yeah, put that on the list.
So we'll do Belle Isle, Lime Rock, Watkins Glen Return, or Laguna.
Yep.
We'll just do those 4.
I think that's perfect.
And then we'll put it up to the people.
Yeah.
The people must have their say.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
That was
With
good.
that,
I like that.
let's wrap it up, guys. Who are we thanking?
I want to thank IMSA because, like you pointed out, no matter what it is, if it's happenstance, if it's the leadership, if it's construction of the teams, they seem to be more open to new stuff, bringing in more women drivers, women managers, trying new classes, trying to attract the most OEMs, all of this good stuff that makes for better racing. They're always pushing for screens and visitor entertainment and all of this stuff. It feels to me, as someone who goes to these races, that they just try more, and I'm happy to reward them with my money.
There you go.
I would like to thank, although not something I'm probably normally too prone to do, this beautiful country of ours for providing us with just a ridiculous array of possible racetracks.
Yes.
You've got racetracks that are, giant ovals. You've got racetracks that rival or in some cases beat some of the great road courses of Europe. You've got great street courses. You've got some of these big sweeping ones out in the desert. You've got all sorts of different racetracks, and I think it's great that you can find the topology and the people and everything to support all these racetracks. It's an excellent opportunity for us and people who love motorsport.
Well, it really feels like you're going to have a completely different experience at every track you go to.
Yes.
It's always going to be
even if
different.
you follow the same series.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, all of our experiences have been different.
Way different.
Good, bad,
Yes.
or otherwise.
Yeah.
But I'm totally on board with that. I want to thank IndyCar for being the absolute best racing that nobody's heard about. Outside of the Indy 500. It is the best kept secret still in the world of motorsports. And hopefully I can get more people on the bandwagon with me. Including my two co-hosts.
You made a good pitch. You did.
And also, as always, thanks to the listeners for tuning in. Keep in mind what we were talking about here as we go into the next racing season. Let us know what you think is going to happen in 2019 motorsports. Let us know what you think we should watch out for. Reach out to us on the socials. We can't wait to talk to you again. Take care of yourselves. Good night.
Bye.